This is Off the Ice, the Nanaimo Clippers hockey show on 106.9 The Wolf. With the latest news on the Clippers and the BCHL, here's Dan Marshall.
We are back live on Off the Ice, the Clippers hockey show. I've got the goalies here, Evan DeBrouwer and Austin Roden. We're going to talk about goaltending, talk about some of their paths to get to the Nanaimo Clippers, some of the things they're going through this year, their goaltending tandem, and I want to squeeze in some comments about their goaltending coach, David Leneveu, because he's not just the team president, he's a former goalie and works with these guys too. And our game today, Top Shelf, where Mama keeps the cookies, and we have a cookie prize pack for whoever can become the winner of our trivia game. First, let's start with Austin Roden. Austin, you come here for training camp. Brendan Barry's here, a BCHL name. Cedric Lesseur is here, a guy that was going to battle for a spot. You're coming in here too with some experience because you're able to AP with the team last year, got into a game last year. But did you imagine that as the season has gone on here, when you think back to August, that you'd be in a goaltending tandem and playing really about half the minutes in the BCHL your first year?
No, the very first time you come into camp, you're just kind of trying to survive the next day. So you don't really think too far down the road, but I think now we've become a great tandem and we're making some noise in the league. So it's awesome where we've come from August.
Was there a game in the preseason? Was there maybe even some scrimmages before everything got going that you really felt like you belonged here?
I felt really comfortable coming into Nanaimo because the last 2 years I've been around, so I knew the people here and the coaching staff, and I know what was expected here a little bit. So coming in, I was kind of comfortable already, and then when the regular season got going, I really just got into it and enjoyed playing with the guys in the room. So it's been nice being here.
When you play Major Midget and then you play in the BC Hockey League, are there things in your game that you have to change? Or when you're playing in goal, do you just look, okay, well, my crease is the same, the boards are the same, the lines are in the same spot, I just have to go out and be me? Or do you have to make changes when you jump up a level like that?
Well, obviously the speed picks up quite a bit from Major Midget to the BCHL, but yeah, it's still the same size rink, same crease. Your job's still to stop the puck, so not too much changes unless you let too much change, really. So it's just more of a mental thing going from league to league, I find.
I harp on this stat when I see goalies with records that don't reflect getting the team points in overtime. You've had only 2 regulation losses all season, but your record doesn't show that because of overtime losses. You have to like, though, that when you play, except for twice this year, you've been able to get the team points in some fashion.
Yeah, it's nice to get the team moving up in the standings. It's such a tight Island division this year, especially from 4th to 1st is a pretty tight race, I've heard. So I don't look at the stats too much, but yeah, it's nice to be able to go out there and know you can win games and get points for your team.
We could talk about this with you. We will. We'll talk about this with Evan, too. Last week was a week of bizarre goals. When you were watching from the bench in the games that you played as well, can you remember a week like that where your team has had so many bizarre goals go in?
No, I can't remember anything like that ever happening before, but you get bad bounces all the time, and it goes up and down throughout the season. So I think we'll have a really good road trip this weekend and bounce back a little bit here.
A couple of shutouts for you so far. Is a shutout a stat that you really put a lot of pride in and you attach a lot of meaning to?
I mean, they're big on social media, it seems, but it's more of a team stat for me, I find. If the team plays good and gives up very minimal chances, then you can do your job and stop the easy shots. So shutout's more of a team stat to me for sure.
You're both new goalies to the team, yourself and Evan, and you've been the guy here for the longest, but right now you guys are really a good tandem on the ice. But what's your relationship like off the ice, of practice and away from the rink?
We've gotten really close, I think, from when Evan got here to now. We've spent a lot of time doing community events together and hanging out in the dressing room and stuff like that, so we have a good relationship off the ice as well.
Mike Vandekamp talks to me all the time about we want the players to be consistent, and we want to have this team continue to play the same way all the time. When it comes to consistency for a goalie, what does that mean for you?
Yeah, I think consistency is the biggest thing for a goalie. If you can play your best every night, then you're gonna put your team in a good spot. But that's not realistic, right? You're gonna have bad games, and there's gonna be up and downs throughout the season. So I think trying to find a consistency and then build off that is the biggest thing.
Let's bring in Evan DeBrouwer. And Evan, get really close to that microphone. As we mentioned before you got here, it is really, really quiet. You have to tell the story. You've told me this story before, but it's so compelling, and I'm sure you're sick of talking about it. But it looked like your hockey career was going to end of your own volition because you were going to focus on school. But now here you are, moving all the way from Ontario to Vancouver Island to continue playing hockey. So what happened that made you want to change your mind and get back in the greatest game in the world?
Well, yeah, I was in Ontario in the CCHL last season with the Smiths Falls Bears, and I wasn't sure about what I was going to do this summer. I kind of told them that, I'd like a trade, and I wasn't sure if I was actually going to play or not. And then talking to some BC teams, and especially Mike. Mike showed a lot of interest in me, and we had some good phone conversations, but I made the decision that I was going to go to school and focus on education instead of hockey. And so I did. I ended up going to school at a local college for civil engineering for a couple weeks, and then I couldn't do it. I missed the game too much. And so I called Mike up just to see if there was still interest there, and there was, luckily. So, it didn't take long after that phone call, and here I am.
Was it a gradual thing, or was there a moment that you walked into the classroom and thought to yourself, what am I doing here? I have to get back at it. Was there one of those types of moments?
Yeah, definitely. It didn't take long to be like, I want to be back on the ice, and this is not me. This is not where I belong right now. So, it didn't take long. Like I said, I was in school for like 2 weeks, and I think after half a week, I kind of knew that this was going to be tough to be away from hockey. And then after the 2 weeks, I was like, I can't do this. I gotta go back.
You can say junior hockey is junior hockey, but everyone talks about how good the BC Hockey League is. From a standpoint of the shooters and the types of chances that you're facing on a regular basis, how much harder is it life in this league as a goaltender than life playing in the CCHL?
It's definitely, I think, a step up. It's a different kind of game. The game I played last year in CCHL, it's more chip and chase and more grinded out hockey, whereas this is definitely more skill and finesse and definitely a step up. And it was a bit of a challenge to get used to it, but I think over time you start to build confidence, and you step up and you catch up to the game.
There was something going on last week in Nanaimo, and I felt it too. I talked to Austin Roden about funny goals, and in the span of a week, seeing so many. I had two of those shots going wide, playing ball hockey, shots going wide that deflected off defenders and in the back of the net behind me in one game, and it drove me crazy. What was that week like for you, where shots, it just seemed like they were going to find a way to get in no matter what happened?
Yeah, it was definitely a little tough week for me as far as goals go, but that's going to happen. You're going to get bad bounces and you're going to get a little unlucky, but there's going to be times where you get very lucky and the puck just seems to be hitting you when, not necessarily because of you. It's just you're just getting the bounces, and so it's, there's going to be highs and there's going to be lows, and you just got to stay in the middle and stay confident and just keep working hard, and things will get better for you.
When you work with David Lenevue, the team's goaltending coach, is he talking about the mental side? Is he saying, hey, you should slide here, you should stand here, you should angle here? What does he do for your game? It's
definitely the mental side of things. You can ask him, he'll say the same thing. He can work on drills with me if I want, and he can, tell me all this technical stuff that I need to know, but really it's the mental game, especially for goaltending, that is the most important part. So he's right in our corner, and I think Austin can agree. He's been there helping us mentally, and he's been awesome for us, a great mentor, and he's a big reason why we've been successful so far this season.
When you had a shutout in Penticton, did you realize how big that was then, or in the aftermath, as people have, I'm sure, talked to you about it, and you've kind of looked at the history of that team, has it become bigger in your mind after the fact? Because that's a very rare thing to go into that building and win, but also to take home a shutout in Penticton.
No, not really. I'm not. I try not to look into those things. I think that everyone else was telling me it was big, where I was just like, it's just another game. Obviously things were going my way, but that's another game. Like I just said, the puck finds a way to hit you, even when necessarily, it could. They could have scored 6 goals that game, and it would have been like, yeah, well, So No, I mean, yeah, obviously it's great to go in there and Penticton. I mean, even I knew about that team from last year when I was in Ontario. I mean, Penticton, they're the powerhouse in BC and everything like that. But, I try not to think of things as too big. I mean, just not too high, not too low, and just stay in the middle. And yeah.
Evan DeBrouwer, Austin Roden are here, and we're going to play a game called Top Shelf, where Mama keeps the cookies. They both have a bell in front of them. We have 10 questions about goaltending, and I went out and because it's Top Shelf where Mama keeps the cookies, I bought cookies for the winner of this show today, and it's been so hard not to eat them. I can assure you this is a sealed box of cookies that does not have my fingerprints all over it. By the way, and I want to throw this out there, there's a goaltender I worked with. I used to work in Penticton many, many years ago. Brad Thiessen was his name, and he's playing minor pro right now. And we had a conversation, and this one stuck with Brad. It stuck with me. We're still friends to this day. 90% of goaltending is looking good. I don't know if that really means anything to either of you guys, but that was always our philosophy. Here we go. You have to look good playing this game. Name a sport. First one to chime in. Name a sport other than hockey that has goalies. Evan DeBrouwer.
Soccer.
Soccer is correct. 1-0 DeBrouwer. Who has played more minutes in net this year? Austin Roden. I didn't even finish the question.
Me?
That is correct. You're lucky. That's where I was going. Get right up close to that microphone, too. Get nice and close. 1-1 tie. The end of the question was going to be, is it Roden or DeBrouwer? But Austin knew where I was going. Which goalie has the most wins in NHL history? Evan DeBrouwer.
Martin Brodeur.
Marty Brodeur is correct, 691. And Austin Roden, there's no points for this one, but who's second?
No.
Your other guest, you said you
Patrick Waugh.
have 2 guesses. There you go. Patrick Waugh is number 2. Question number 4. Who's the tallest goalie that's a regular NHL starter? Oh, Joe, I don't know who to pick on that one. That was really, really tight.
Evan DeBrouwer.
Evan, you got some. Oh, my goodness.
Ben Bishop.
Ben Bishop is correct. Which BCHL goalie has more shutouts than Austin Roden? Austin Roden.
Is it Matt Robson?
That is incorrect. There's no steals here. Sorry, Evan. The correct answer is no one. You're tied with a bunch of guys with 2.
Hey.
Nobody has more shutouts than you do. This is super easy. What do you call the open space between a goalie's legs? Austin Roden.
5-hole.
5-hole is correct. Question number 7. Joe, give us a score update.
Who just won that last one?
Roden.
It was Roden. All right, so we're at 3-2 for Evan.
Oh, we're in a tight contest here. Name any brand of goaltending equipment. Evan DeBrouwer.
Bauer.
Bauer is correct. Would have taken literally anything there. Give the name, this is a personal question for each of you. Give the name of a goalie on another team that you've beaten this year. Austin Roden, I believe, was first.
Brody Clays.
Brody Clays, that is correct, from the Alberni Valley Bulldogs. Nicely done. This one, if you get this wrong, this doesn't look good on either one of you. Today, on this very day, name the goaltender that has been inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Uh-oh.
It's been on every sports channel for the past 2 days.
All I've heard is Lindros and
that's all
that
I've heard too, is
Makarov from Russia.
Those guys are going in. Pat Quinn is going in, coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs and Vancouver Canucks. And there's a Hall of Fame goalie who used to play for the Montreal Canadiens and the LA Kings that's inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame today. Great stance, unbelievable mask, which means nothing to these guys because he was way before these 2 guys were born. Rogie Vachon is the goalie that went into the Hockey Hall of Fame today.
No.
Have to do some research after the fact. What do you call a goalie that catches with his right hand? Austin Roden.
Southpaw.
Southpaw is correct. I would have accepted lefty as well. Joe, where does that leave our score?
It's currently a tie.
It's currently a tie. We're going into overtime, and I have to come up with a really, really good overtime question.
On the spot?
On the spot, overtime question. Going back to the 2014 Olympics, name one of the 2 goalies in the final. Evan DeBrouwer.
Carey Price.
Carey Price is correct. Beating
Henrik Lundqvist.
Henrik Lundqvist is correct. But Evan got the question first. So he wins our prize pack of cookies. Toss those down in our game, Top Shelf, where Mama keeps the cookies.
Come over, buddy.
And that is where we don't want to see any pucks going in this weekend. Roden or DeBrouwer, Prince George Friday, Langley Saturday, Chilliwack Sunday. I would suggest we're going to see both of these guys in the Clipper crease. Guys, thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
DeBrouwer and Roden, the Clipper goalies, on Off the Ice.
You've been listening to Off the Ice, the Clippers Hockey Show. Join us again next Monday night at 7 on Nanaimo's Rock. 106.9 The Wolf.